Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a silent invader, a microscopic organism that's living inside billions of people around the world, most of whom have no idea it's even there. It's an incredible story that ties together our pets, what we eat, and the very core of our immune system. Let's dive in.
So just to set the stage, let this number sink in for a second. An estimated 1/3 of every single person on this planet is a carrier. That is a staggering number. We're talking about billions of people playing host to this organism.
Which, of course, raises the big question. What in the world is this incredibly successful parasite that's managed to make a home inside so many of us?
And here it is. Meet the culprit, Toxoplasma gondii. What you're looking at here is one of its forms, the oocyst. Think of it as its armored travel pod. It's incredibly tough and designed to survive out in the environment. This is the parasite we're going to get to know today.
Okay, so to really understand its impact, we need to get a clear profile of the parasite itself. What kind of creature is Toxoplasma gondii, and what exactly makes it so good at what it does?
First off, it's an endoparasite. The endo part just means inside, so it lives inside our very cells, not on the surface like a flea or a tick. It's also a protozoan, and this is a really important distinction. It means we're talking about a complex, single-celled organism, a world away from multicellular parasites like tapeworms.
Now, if you look at its family tree, this is where things get really fascinating. Check out its phylum, Apicomplexa. You know what other famous parasite is in that group? Plasmodium, the one that causes malaria. And that's not just trivia. It means they share the same biological toolkit, a specialized break-and-enter system designed to get into our cells and take over.
This parasite is a true master of disguise. It has 3 completely different forms. You've got the oocyst, which is that tough environmental seed. Once it infects a host, it turns into the tachyzoid. This is the fast, multiplying shock trooper that causes the initial infection. Then, as the immune system starts to fight back, it changes again, becoming the bradyzoid, a slow-growing sleeper cell that hides out in our tissues for, well, pretty much the rest of our lives.
So, how does this three-faced organism get around? Its entire existence depends on a really complex life cycle, and there's one animal that plays the starring role.
This diagram shows it all perfectly. You see, cats are what we call the definitive host. They are the one and only animal where Toxoplasma gondii can sexually reproduce. An infected cat sheds those oocysts we talked about, which then end up in the soil or water. From there, they get picked up by other animals, rodents, birds, farm animals, and the parasite forms cysts in their tissues, just waiting for a cat to come along and eat that animal, completing the circle.
So where do we humans fit into this whole thing? We're what's known as an intermediate host, basically an accidental stop on the parasite's journey. By far the most common way we get infected is through our food, either by eating undercooked meat that has those dormant tissue cysts in it, or by eating food or drinking water that's been contaminated. And yes, cat litter is also a risk, but it's actually much less common than getting it from food.
To make this super clear, let's zoom in on the situation in the Netherlands. Researchers there have done quantitative risk assessments to figure out exactly where the biggest foodborne threats are. It's pretty interesting. Things like pork and beef are a high risk for the whole population, mainly because people just eat a lot of it. But if you're talking about the risk from a single serving of food, it's those raw beef dishes, like steak tartare, that are at the top of the list. Lamb is also a major source because infection rates in sheep are just really high.
Okay, so we know how we get it, but what actually happens next? For most people, the answer is not much. But the outcome of a Toxoplasma gondii infection depends almost entirely on one thing: the state of your immune system.
And the difference is just night and day. In a healthy person, your immune system jumps on the parasite and forces it into that dormant, cystic stage. You might get some mild flu-like symptoms, or you might not feel a thing. But for someone who is immunocompromised, say an AIDS patient or an organ transplant recipient, it's a whole different ballgame. The parasite can reactivate and spread, leading to really severe conditions like toxoplasmic encephalitis, which is a life-threatening inflammation of the brain.
So, with such wildly different outcomes, how do doctors even figure out if there's an active infection going on? And what do we have in our arsenal to fight it?
The most common way to diagnose this is with serology. It's basically a blood test that looks for your body's antibodies against the parasite. It can tell doctors whether you've had it in the past or if it's a new infection. But in those really serious cases, like a suspected brain infection, they'll turn to a PCR test. It's much more direct because it actually looks for the parasite's DNA in places like spinal fluid.
Now, on the treatment side, there's a really important difference depending on where you live, especially for pregnant women.
Internationally, a drug called spiramycin is often the go-to choice to prevent the parasite from being passed from mother to child. But here's the twist. It actually hasn't been available in the Netherlands for almost 2 decades, which means doctors there have to use different treatment plans to protect the baby.
All of this really underscores why the best strategy is just prevention in the first place. So, let's talk about the simple, practical things you can do to build up your defenses against this parasite.
At the end of the day, your best weapon is simple hygiene. Cook your meat to a safe temperature. That kills the cysts. Wash your fruits and vegetables really well to get rid of any stray oocysts. For you cat owners, the biggest thing is to change the litter box every day. Why? Because the oocysts need at least a full day out in the open to become infectious. And if you're pregnant, it's safest to just pass that chore off to someone else for a while. Just so you know, we compiled all the research for this explainer using a Gemini deep search. If you want to dive deeper into any of the studies or guidelines we talked about today, you can find a complete list of all our sources in the Notebook LM document linked down in the description. And this all leaves us with one final fascinating thought. Toxoplasma gondii has been our silent partner for thousands of years, potentially shaping our biology in ways we're only just starting to understand. It makes you wonder, what other secrets is this ancient invader still hiding from us, right there in plain sight?
That's all we have for this explainer. If you found this interesting, be sure to hit that subscribe button for more, and we'd love to hear what you think down in the comments. Thanks for watching.